Hey guys, George Mesa, Third Eye Edify podcast. And based on the title, I'm sure you'll notice that I have a very particular topic in mind, but I'm not going to approach it from a very thorough standpoint like I usually do. I just want to make a few points here. Perhaps a very large portion of you watching already know and agree. And this is good. Echo chambers aren't necessarily the most productive thing, but sometimes they can be when shared. So please do, as always, like, subscribe, share this with anyone you possibly can. Huge thank you to my supporters as well. So I will start this episode with a question, as I often do. What is homeschooling? Is home school? Is home enough? I've been thinking about doing something in this topic since my kids are getting old enough, and they're learning quite a lot, whether I mentioned it or not. And it's not always just because they heard it on a TV show or somebody else. They just adaptively and ingeniously sense and understand their surroundings. This is part of the magic of the human being, something that is certainly dwarfed by modern schooling at the very least. And I went into schooling in some bit during my music mini series, so definitely check out the episode called The Arts, potentially episode 38. I went into the details about the early goings of the advent of schooling in this country, the United States. So I was looking at something, came up with, a vote for funding for homeschooling or something along those lines, or tax return for homeschooler. I forgot what it was, but it had to do with the state that I'm in now, Kentucky. So I went to go look at the guidelines for homeschooling. And funny enough, and maybe it's not funny at all, as a matter of fact, they were suggesting that you contact the superintendent of your school district at least, or at the very latest, 10 days before school starts, to announce that you're homeschooling. So you can give them a curriculum, so you can tell them the name of your homeschool, so that way when they're done, they can provide a diploma. They want you to actually attach yourself to the schooling that you're very, very clearly not running away from, but trying to shove out of the way, so that there's a clear path to the finish line. Not that education ever ends, but when there's bells ringing every 40 minutes, it kind of feels like it does, doesn't it? And tests have a sense of finality as well. Doing well on a test gives you a sense that you're done and ready, and that is often not the case. These are some of the many pitfalls that come with public education, state-run education. And I have a lot more to say about it than I'm going to. I've probably, between every episode I've ever had, I probably already said everything I had to say about what I really think about it. World War U, perhaps, is exactly how I would sum it up. So, what do you think of when you think of homeschooling? You think of this? Maybe? Yeah, sure. Look at that little girl looking at the computer. You think of this? Maybe. Maybe if you've thought about it before ever doing it. Might not always go that way. You think of this? Maybe. And rightly so. Why wouldn't you want something like gardening to be part of learning? It certainly wasn't part of my curriculum. Maybe bring them to a farmer's market to show them what hard work can produce and how you bring it home and use it as nourishment. Whether you think veggies are great or not, whether you eat only meat or only veggies, bottom line is farmer's market have these things. Now, what does the farmer's market provide when you show up to this farmer's market with your child during school? wait. During school hours, of course. Makes it more exciting, doesn't it? What do you get? This is what we really need to be teaching. This. community. No borders, no colors, no walls, no wars. This should be the ultimate goal of how you want your kids to think and feel about the world. How to build something, potentially from nothing, without the help of a government, without instantly going into debt and thinking that that's actually the goal to get started. Oh, I need a loan, I got to do something. Perhaps the quadrivium, an image of the 7 liberal arts. The trivium and the quadrivium, as we see here, the trivium in the center, quadrivium at the bottom. This make up the 7 liberal arts. Certainly slacking, but every great that you remember, that you can name, whether it's a composer or an artist or some, not all kings, I guess, how do you think they learned? Why do you think they were able to write in several languages and understood music and astronomy and astrology, I should say, much better than you ever did? From a young age. Why do you think Mozart was able to write operas before he was 10? They didn't have the same education style that we had, and the topics were certainly not the same. The focus was not the same. Perhaps the focus should be on this. The statues at Easter Island, which have been discovered to go much farther down into the ground than this. Are you surprised? Perhaps they produce pitches when hit. I haven't been there, I don't know. Anyone been to Easter Island? Please leave a comment. Perhaps we should start considering getting kids more interested in the mysteries of the pyramids of Giza. I introduced this image, not this exact image, but the image of the 3 pyramids of Giza. Did I say Gaza? The image of the 3 pyramids of Giza is the first thing I show a music theory student. Maybe we should start making sure that children understand that birth is not a medical event. And it can take place in the home, where it should. That you can get expertise from somebody that's not in a lab coat. Just imagine. This is a very small amount of things that I'm showing here, of course. But just imagine how much more of an impact every person would have before they're 20, before they're college age. There's another thing you need a loan for. Avoid it at all costs. We need more of us than them. This whole DINK generation, double income, no kids, is an obvious byproduct of the system. The way to fight the system is to make your own. And if we all do it, and if we all help each other, knowing that we're all learning and we all make mistakes, we'll be heading in the right direction. It's a short one today, but I really had something to say here, and I hope that you found it compelling enough to pass it along to someone who maybe never thought this way, or has that same stigma that most people have about homeschooling. The same stigma I had. Not that I was against anything like that, but you always just think they're weird, or, they don't know anything that I know. That's weird. Maybe a lot of people had the right idea back then. Maybe it's a growing trend now, thankfully, for the better, for the betterment of humanity, so that your kids don't immediately go into the world in shackles. Thank you so much. See you next time.